Hi. I just want to see if my uh, mic's working. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, there you go. I wanted to. I don't edit anymore. I just put up, you know, my videos live because I. I mean, I don't do this professionally, but rather for a hobby. You know, which means like when you work for others, like to get paid, that means you'll have to uh, put up efforts and stuff. But when you're doing something as a hobby, that means you're doing it for fun. So that means you should be able to do the ways that you want to do it, right? So anyway, so I want to talk about this project, this that project. After 30 years, so I went to I was admitted and I began attending a very prestigious liberal arts college. I was very lucky, by the way, um, in 1996, actually. And I know it's 2024, not 2026. So I shouldn't say 30 years, but it's nearly 30 years, right? So after 30 years or 25 years of being in the real world, uh, was it a good idea? And I've noticed that, like, there are moments where when I wanted to, find any videos about this, and I realized there are a lot of them from Americans, but hardly. I couldn't find anything like much, and from people or a person who was there as an international student. Um, so here I am, and I have my videos on this topic, on this subject in Korean, my my native language. But I this is my first video, so let me jumpstart. So like I was there in the U.S. I was actually born and raised in Korea until I was like 17, and I was sophomore, actually junior in Korea in high school. And I went there, when I went to the United States for high school, I flunked a year and a half. So I was a sophomore, and spent about 33 years in high school, so I could go to good college. And you know what? I shouldn't talk about that like in this video because it's gonna be a really long video. So I will talk about how I made it, all the process, admission process. It was actually pretty dramatic too. Later in another video. So I want to talk about the pros and cons. First off, I want to talk about pros. So like I think the best part of being in liberal arts college for me was the freedom, academic freedom, where you could even declare what's called an independent major. Basically, like I didn't have to. I hated science, like natural science, especially biology. And I was very glad that I didn't have to take any of those. There was no science requirement in my school. Um, so that was really cool. So basically, I was able to take courses that were interesting to me. And there's a really great thing about this, and I'll get to that later. Um, and also classroom size I thought was really good because most cases, I think except for math class in my freshman year, I think was very small. So like we had like 6 students or 8 students per class, and we could just talk about you know the subject, what we were learning. Um, like in my freshman year, sophomore year, I wasn't very uh, I shouldn't say fluent, but, like, I didn't know how to, like, really explain things clearly and in an organized manner. Actually, you know what? Like, one of my friends, American friends, told me, like, I he didn't really understand what I was saying. I sounded like English, but my English started making sense by the time I became a junior. Once again, I was very lucky back then. I believe I was the only student from my country, South Korea, uh, in the entire 90s to make it there. Like, I was the only international student from my country, my South Korea, in the entire 90s. So yeah, I was really lucky, and my I had a really good, strong essay. Um, when I was playing. Um, so like I was very satisfied with the size of class and basically the general attitude of professors. They were very passionate and they cared. They didn't treat students like we're a bunch of like numbers or robots. So I thought it was really cool. Campus life. I don't know about like I should be careful to explain this because I know the US has changed a lot ever since I left it. Like I was there until 2001 and I know like the social climate has gone through undergone like a lot of change. But when I was there, like the general attitude in college campus was like Asian students used to hang out with only Asian students, black students used to hang out with only black students, white students would only hang out with white students. I shouldn't say only, but this was true most of the time. But then, like in my school, it was very we're very open minded, and we're politically very progressive, and like just there was just this general atmosphere of like welcoming diversity. So like or anything that's kind of erratic or eccentric. Well, at least it was true on the surface, right? So I was able to associate with basically like guys from like different backgrounds. You know, I had a really good, like, very close friend from. He was actually a second generation immigrant from Iran. His family was from Iran, and I had a friend. I still kept in touch with him. Like he's just American guy, like Caucasian guy from. I think he was from Philly back then. Um, and I had a close girlfriend, not like a, you know, dating, but she was from Bronx. So I was like my crowd. I hung out with a crowd that was very diverse, right? So it was really good, especially to learn the language and also like sort of to be part of like to gain an American experience to an extent. I know this is uh kind of like not all accurate, but at least like I did not live like I wasn't there like I was kind of like a ghost, which back then was a common experience for a lot of international students from especially from out of my country. Um one more thing, career. Oh man, this is gonna be like the real deal. So like let me put it this way. I already like have moved on to the cons. Um, if the name of the school that you graduate from matters a lot in your country, which it still does in mine, um, this can be a problem because in most countries, like no one knows what liberal arts is. In my case, I'll just talk about my case, right? Well, my school ends with the name of it ends with college. So, like, basically, like, people would question, and they were like, "So did you go to a 2-year college?" And they had this funny idea running inside their head. So this guy was like one of those like rich guy, well, guys from rich family who didn't study, who probably just partied a lot and did a lot of drugs. Uh, so like, you know, like he didn't really listen to his parents, so that's why he went to America. Um, I dealt with that stereotype right after, you know, I came back to Korea. Uh, I did briefly work in the U.S., but Um, this is another long video. But I came back after 6 years of 6 months of trying to find a sponsor um, for a job, right? Sponsor for my visa, work permit, I should say. So like this was something that I had to deal with, and I've spoken to others who also went to liberal arts colleges in Korea, and they all told me the same thing. It just kind of became their they don't really, like, discuss it anymore, We don't really discuss it, like, people ask me, "Oh, so you studied in US, which school did you go to?" And we just say, "Ah, I went to a school that was decent," but just quickly move on to some other subject, right? But I'll get to this a little bit later because I have to talk about GPA, grade point average. Grade point average matters a lot. I mean, when I made it to, my school, you know, when I got admission, I felt my life was almost set because in the 90s, that was, like, the whole, like, idea. I mean, there was general consensus, like, once you have graduated from a prestigious school, especially from the United States, your career is all set, man, like, you're set for your career. But this turned out not to be true, partly because of the late 1990s Asian financial crisis, which totally changed the whole landscape of things like in the economy, like in Korean economy and system and everything. Um, we made it like a lot more competitive. But this also I know like this matters a lot in the U.S. too, because the reason being, in the real world, they don't expect you to know the stuff because they'll train you. Um, but they know that you're a hardworking person. They can rely on you once they train you based on the GPA, the grade point average. And this is even more true in my country. These numbers matter a lot. So you got to take care of your GPA, man. Um, I've talked about this too. Oh no, I forgot. Anyway, so like if your country turns out to be a competitive one, like the work job market, right? And you have graduated from liberal arts college, and you're not from a filthy rich family or comfortable background, and you have to get back to your own country. You're screwed, man, because um, a lot of times you'll have to compete against the domestic contenders, like people who graduate colleges or schools in your country. They know they have a lot better access to information. This was true in my country, in my case. So like if you really want to get rewarded for your hard work in school, you've got to find a sponsor for your work permit, the visa. That's going to basically determine your next 30 years, whether you're going to end up. No, this is going to sound too. No, I'm not going to develop. I'm not going to elaborate on this too much. But yeah. So like, this is the key, man. Like, so like, you've got to find your sponsor, and the best way to do it is internship. So like, don't screw around, right? Don't screw around. You're not a U.S. citizen. You're in a different. You don't have that. You don't have this privilege, a set of privileges that these American guys they don't even acknowledge, right? Use your summer, even like yeah, so summer in your freshman year or sophomore year. Don't wait on your senior year because by the time by the time and the judgment day comes, you're not going to be able to find your sponsor unless you have like crazy credentials, like you, I don't know, you are like somehow like deemed like you're viewed as Einstein of your, and you've like made computer or some engineering kind of discipline, like area or subject. So like it doesn't matter whether it's a big company or transnational corporation or even a small and mid-sized business. Just go find somebody that knows that you are reliable, you're worth. Is it like 30 grand still? I think well, it was like 30 grand uh, expense for being your sponsor, right? So it doesn't matter. I know, I know this is gonna sound dramatic, but I did have to work at a local restaurant as a busser, not even a server. I thought like, I'm not gonna work here, you know? I'm not gonna like this is not why I work that hard. Uh, I'm not gonna end up in working in some like restaurant. But now that I look back on it, I know this probably was not going to happen. But if the restaurant had offered me a sponsorship, I should have gone for it, right? So, it's just like so important. I don't know, like marry somebody. Like, no, no, uh, that's a joke. But yeah, so like make sure you find a sponsor for your work permit, your visa. Otherwise, you might get screwed a lot, very, very screwed, right? And please, like I know, some of you might think I'm not gonna work for some like small sizes business, but hey, that's a lot better. Like life is short, but life, like you have to think in a long term, right? Because in America, like you can get out easily, but it's hard to make it back. It's so hard, and I can make like 5 videos about this. Um, Career development office. There was a career development office in my school, and, I don't know if it's the same, but I suspect not much has changed. But let me tell you this, they're not on your side, buddy. They will side with the American government. Let me tell you a story. So, like, back then, there was hardly, like, international students from Asia, just in general, right? When I was there in my time. Um, and so like I didn't really have any source, right? Reliable source. So I learned about this office. I go in and got some counseling from this guy. He went over my cover letter, which my friend helped me writing, and he just like edited. He recommended some changes, and then like by the time, within 2 months, I had sent out 400 or 500 resumes. And let me tell you this, like back then, like my school was like among it was ranked like 13, but because of the name, like the brand, it was definitely like one of the best in the nation, right? I got like one interview out of like 500 resumes. And then like later on, I was luckily I was offered a chance to live with a friend of mine who gave me the offer in a small like one room studio. He was also internet. He graduated 1 year earlier than me in Philadelphia. He was like, "Well, you know what? Do your job search. You can still live like sleep on my couch." And so like while off duty, this was when I was working at that restaurant, right? Japanese restaurant run by Korean managers. Korean manager, which always is the case. Um, so like I back then like I went to a bookstore because back then still like a lot, like it was a lot better informative to go through books like actual physical books than like searching online. Um, and there was one like really large bookstore called Barnes and Noble, and I went through basically all the books about like finding jobs and how to write resume and everything. I was so dedicated, right? I was so like razor sharp focused. And I learned that you are not supposed to, you don't have to say that you are not a citizen of the United States in your cover letter. But guess what? There was this lady, one of the counselors too, who insisted that I should write that. I should give the information at the top of my cover letter. And then that was when like I was like, oh shit. This was a big mistake. No wonder like 500 after 500 resumes, I got like one interview. And the funny thing was, I remember like I actually visited the campus one weekend or one week. It was like Thursday or something to see my friends and stuff. And I ran into the lady and I did politely confront her about this. And she said, "No, I'm right. You still have to give the information so that you can save. You don't give this information, blah blah blah. You can save the for the well, she wasn't entirely wrong, but it's like this. It's like when you're trying to sell something, like when you're trying to meet someone online, when you're on like a dating app, like you put up attractive photos of you, not those like hidden ugly birthmarks they that she will eventually find out once you start dating, right? Like that's not how you sell your stuff. Um, so I realized, you know what? This was like a very one of the weak points of liberal arts college. Like they're very good at like academically, they're very strong, but when it comes down to practical shit, they're shit, man. I don't know about this now. I don't know now like how things have changed or but I suspect it is still in comparison to big university, like where the education is more focused on like practical purpose, like in comparison to liberal arts colleges, right? I think that I believe that career development office probably won't be a uh, the greatest strength, the biggest strength, right? But one thing though, you can there's one way you can use the career development office, which is ask for this information. Because I remember there was a list of alumni, people who graduated from your school that were interested in hiring you or giving you an intern summer internship or even like advice. Ask for that list and make sure to like utilize that information rather than just like sending out your cover letter or resume and a resume to like bunch of like strangers. So because like these guys like have they have offered their hand. So remember to use that, right? I'm getting tired. It's like 3:32 a.m. in Korea, and also I'm kind of ill these days. Um, so like before I wrap up, should I share my story, like my personal experience? What time is it now? Is it like almost? Should I end it here? Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna end it here. If you like this, I was gonna talk about my own experience where, for basically like 10 years after you know graduating from college, I wasn't able to tell people which school I had graduated from. But in some industry, like finance, consulting, business consulting, they know. But most industries, the conservative ones, they don't have to know these things. They already are filled with like flooded with people who want to work in your company. So yeah, so it really differs industry by industry. But this is one area that you really want to kind of do the rain check on. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment if you have a comment or question. And I just talked about what I think based on my own experiences about attending a liberal arts college as an international student. I hope this was helpful. Bye bye.